Story 1. This event happened right after I turned 16 years old, and I got a brand new PlayStation as a birthday present from my mom and dad, and I was even given a monitor which allowed me to play in my room, so I was over the moon. My bedroom was upstairs, and a few weeks after my birthday I barely left my room. I was just playing different games on the PlayStation like Call of Duty and GTA 5. I can remember this one time. It was a Saturday night. I was talking in a PlayStation party with some of my friends. Well, two of my best friends called Jay and Ben. But anyway, both of my parents were out of town for a business meeting, so I was home alone. I had my headset on and I had them up pretty loud so I could basically only hear my friends and the game sound. We were playing GTA races. I finished first, so I took off my headset to get my phone, which was lying on the bed. Then I heard a thumping sound coming from downstairs. And if you have ever been home alone as a kid, you know that is the one terrifying sound you don't want to hear, and your mind is thinking of worst possible outcomes. But I tried not to think about it. But I did turn the volume down and I had one side of my headset off, so from my right ear I could hear everything that was happening in the house. Nothing happened for about the next 10 minutes. Then of course I heard the same sound again. I told my friends Ben and Jay about this, and they both told me I should go down and see if everything is all right. And Ben jokingly said someone might have broken in, and I laughed and agreed with him. After the next race, I took my headset off and started walking down the stairs. Then I began to hear soft whispering, and I was only halfway down the stairs until I completely froze up, and I tried to listen, trying to hear if I was hearing things, or this whispering is real. I then crouched down halfway down the stairs so I could see a clear view of the living room, and my heart started beating really quick, and I started to shake when I saw 3 fully grown men all dressed in black walking around slowly in the living room. I genuinely couldn't process what was going on. I didn't know what to do, but slowly made my way back upstairs, trying not to make a sound. But of course, one of the steps let out a loud creaking noise, and it echoed throughout the dark, silent house. And all of a sudden, the soft whispering stopped. I then made it back to my room, and I put my headset on and I told my friends to phone the police. Jay thought it was just me joking about. Then I said it again in a serious tone. Then they sounded confused and they asked me what was happening. I didn't have enough time to explain to them what was going down. I then made my way to my bathroom down the hallway, and I left the bathroom door slightly open with it cracked open so maybe they would think I'm not in there, as it doesn't look obvious. Then all of a sudden I heard loud footsteps stomping up the stairs. I heard them burst into my bedroom. I remained in that bathroom silent as possible. It was so silent I could literally hear my heartbeat. Then I heard one of them shout, "Come out, we aren't going to hurt you." I almost let out a slight gasp and I was absolutely terrified. I then tried to open the bathroom window. Then I heard footsteps coming towards the bathroom. I then opened the window and I jumped out of the window. I then landed in the bush. I think I only sprained my ankle. I then looked up at the bathroom window. I seen a man with a big, horrifying grin on his face. I then tried to run round to the front lawn. Then I heard the back door slide open with footsteps following behind me. One of them grabbed my shoulder, but this got interrupted by police sirens in the distance. The 2 men climbed over the back fence and ran into the woods. I then broke down in tears in front of the police officer. The police then searched the house and they took one of the men out, and he gave me a death stare with no emotion on his face. The police then told me they found him hiding in my closet with a big kitchen knife, and the police said they found pistols and multiple knives sitting on my living room table. Ever since then, my parents have never let me to stay home alone. I am now 17, about to turn 18, and I still feel like I'm getting treated like a little kid. Story 2. It was the middle of July. It was a nice sunny summer's day. I was about 9 years old. Me and my younger brother, who was 7, we were playing outside, playing loads of different childhood games with some of the other kids in our neighborhood, and me and my little brother finally called it a day, so we started to walk home as the sun went down. Now maybe once a week our parents would go out to a different restaurant as we were pretty well off with money. Anyway, it was one of those days where they were out to a restaurant leaving me and my little brother in the house alone, and most of the time they would tell us if they are going out. But this time they just left a letter on the kitchen counter as we were playing outside. They probably didn't want to disturb us. But anyway, me and my little brother went into the living room to watch some TV. We were just watching some random cartoon show, but about an hour of watching TV, it was completely dark, and me and my little brother was about to get some sleep. Then all of a sudden there was a few knocks at the door, followed with the doorbell ringing. At first I thought it was my parents. Maybe they forgot their house key or something, but they normally have a key, and they normally enter through the back door after being out to a fancy dinner. My little brother was about to open the door. Then I grabbed his shoulder. Then I looked through the peephole and it was a man all by himself, and he said he was selling candy. I then whispered to my little brother to go and sit in the living room. I was so confused. Why would a man be selling candy at this time of the day? Then the man then repeated himself once more. The door handle slowly started to turn, and that's where I engaged the deadlock and a loud clicking sound echoed out. It was way too loud and the man clearly heard it and knew for sure there was someone inside the house. I then looked at the peephole again. Then I see the man was looking into the living room window, staring at my little brother who was sitting there watching TV, and he had no idea what was going on. But what horrified me more was when I seen a pistol in his left pocket. I then ran into my living room. I shut the blinds. Then I grabbed my brother and I told him to follow me. I then took him down into the basement. He asked what we were doing. I told him there is something cool I need to show him. I said this because I didn't want to worry him. I then locked the basement door and we stayed down there, and it felt like we were down there for hours. Then we eventually heard the garage door open and we quickly ran upstairs, and I didn't mention anything to our parents until my little brother went to his bed. Then I told them what went down. They were horrified, and they felt so bad for leaving us home alone. They then called the police. The police arrived and they inspected the house and they told us the back door's lock was tampered with, and it looked like he was trying to break in. But we don't know what the man's intention was if he got inside. To this day, my little brother still doesn't know what happened that day. And since then, my parents get our grandma to come round look after us when they go out. Story 3. As a kid, I lived in the middle of nowhere. My family owned a farm, so we lived in a farmhouse which literally had a dirt road leading up to it. I want to say I was 15 at the time. It was getting close to midnight on this one night. I was home alone, and I can't remember what my family was doing that particular night. I was sitting on the couch in the living room watching a movie with Molly, our family dog who we'd had for years. She was getting old in age and therefore wasn't the most active dog and could easily sit through a whole movie, motionless by my side. It was during one of the boring parts of the movie where nothing is really happening when I was confused, when Molly's ears suddenly shot up and his head turned around. I muted the TV. I myself didn't hear anything. Molly stayed completely focused in this one direction. It was towards the house's front door. My first instinct was somebody was at the door, but this just wouldn't make any sense considering the house's location. You have to go completely out of your way to get to our house. I don't think we've ever had someone come to our door that we weren't expecting. Like this stuff just doesn't happen out here. I brushed it off as just an animal and turned the TV's volume back on. Shortly after I did this, Molly started quietly growling, still looking in the same direction. In the time I've known this dog, I'd heard her growl a total of maybe 2 other times, so by this point, I figured whatever was out there, I had to at least go check it out. I grabbed one of our family's many guns and went up to the front door. I opened it and saw nothing, so I walked out. I got maybe 30 yards from the front porch and looked down into the night. Nothing but black emptiness, so I turned back around. I took one step back towards the house before I stopped myself. Sitting on the edge of the deck was a man, curled up in the fetal position and looked like he was trying to hide himself. I stood there trying to think of what to do next. I was not about to walk up right next to this guy, so as silently as I could, I went around to the back door. It was unlocked because we always left our doors unlocked. That's not something we typically have to worry about way out here. Right as I got inside, I ran back to the front door, shut and locked it dead. I then did the same with all windows and doors around the house. I called the police, and after a full 30 minutes they finally arrived. I searched around the whole property but didn't find anything. This was somewhat relieving. A part of me honestly started to think I just imagined the sighting. After the police left, I ultimately decided to just go to bed. The next morning I got up and went down to the kitchen to start making breakfast, but when I went to grab a knife to cut some fruit, I couldn't help but notice one of the knives was missing. I stood there confused. I was sure it was there the night before. I got a bad feeling. I decided to call the police again. 2 officers showed up, and this time I had them search inside the house. I stood outside while they did so. After a few minutes, the 2 officers came back out with an old, scrawny-looking man in handcuffs. The man was found under the basement stairs, gripping a knife with both hands. It was the knife missing from my kitchen. After a short-lasting struggle, the man was detained. This was the same man that was hiding outside. After giving the whole story to the police, they believed that most likely he had simply gotten in through the front door during the time it took me to go around the house and get in through the back door. From what I know, the man said nothing when questioned about what he was doing way out here or what he had planned. By the fact that he grabbed a knife, couldn't mean anything good. I still think about what would have happened had the man searched anywhere in the house that night and possibly found me sleeping. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow my other socials down below, and send your true stories to my email down below.